there's a few buttons here. So this button is to heat up underneath the windshield wipers on the windshield. So if they become frozen, you can release them here. Forward collision warning system, you can turn that off, default is on. Blind spot, road departure warning, button is here, it has a little indicator light. Parking sensors, you can turn them on or off here, has a little indicator light. There is the traction control, default is on, you can turn it off. And this is the cargo lighting, which is the ones that we saw to the left and the right in the bed. It has an eco button. I didn't really have much of a success as far as actually getting better fuel economy using that. The vehicle gets about 23, 24, and as I drove it, the more miles I put on it, it got a little bit lower, got down to like 22. So that's something to consider. And then it has the power, side mirrors are adjusted here. Pick a side, adjust it with that little pad, and then right here is the power folding option. It has a tilt and telescoping steering column. And it has like this felt material right here. Keep stuff from getting in there. So I'm 6 feet tall, and the way this vehicle is designed, the seat for me could go back just a little bit more, but it's okay. I mean, I've gotten used to it at this point. But I like the way when the vehicle's off, all the screens are dark like this, just completely black. And then when you start it up, everything comes to life. Let's turn this climate control fan down a little bit. All right, so the steering wheel on this Trail Sport is kind of neat. It has the stitching here, and it's a heated steering wheel as well. There's the button, but it has a kind of orange stitching here, perforations on the ends, and fairly comfortable. It's a little thin here at the top, but it gives here on the sides and feels really good. It has the volume for the radio, change to the tracks. This button corresponds with the screen. We'll get to that. There's the voice recognition. Here on the right side is a cruise control. You can turn it on or off here. You can also change between the adaptive cruise control and regular cruise control by holding down that main button. You can set, resume, and cancel. There's a heated seat control. Lane keep assist system works pretty good. It's not like very solid in the lane, but it helps you drive and it doesn't annoy you. It doesn't fight with you when you're driving. And then there's the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you when you have the adaptive cruise control set on the vehicle. It does have paddle shifters that helps you have control over the gear ratio, especially when you're going down hills or something like that. Windshield wiper controls here on the right side, and then the turn signals here, but also have the headlight switch as well. So there's the headlight, parking light, automatic, and then you have off. You can toggle on or off the lights. Now, we're gonna see at the night video, once you put it in gear, it's gonna just automatically turn the lights back on. But if you need to toggle them on or off here, you can do that. And then there is the fog lights. You can turn on. Those are controlled separately. Okay, so the gauges, you'll notice that here on the right side is an actual physical gauge. Here on the left side is just a screen that kind of represents the gauge. It does have the digital speedometer there, outside temperature, odometer, the fuel gauge here. And the tachometer has some information here in the center, including a little clock at the bottom. But you can change through using this button. You see the little home button here, and this little scroll wheel. Hit the home button, and you can scroll up and down and choose what you want. So navigation will actually show, right now it's showing a compass, but when you have a navigation set, it will show the turn-by-turn directions right here. You can see the torque distribution on the all-wheel drive system, which is mostly the front wheels. You have the maintenance, tire pressure, but you can actually see the tire pressure. You can adjust the brightness of the gauges here. Gauge display settings. So you can go in here and choose what you want on this list and deselect it if you don't want it on there. Right, warnings, range and fuel. Go ahead and select that so you can see that. So I got 24, which I was on the highway a lot here recently. Speed and time. Whatever your radio's doing and whatever your phone's doing. So yeah, you can choose whatever you want here on the left side. So it has a little bit of customization there on the left side. But once again, this right side is a physical gauge, just like an old school type vehicle. All right, so over here, this is the more higher, I guess. Honda doesn't really have like super advanced electronics, okay? So it has a decent system that's usable, and it's not complex. A little bit of learning and you're fine. I like the way it has this little part right here to rest your hand. So if you're making a selection, you can rest your hand and make a selection. So this is really nice addition. Also the actual physical volume knob. So they didn't have that in prior, the prior, before the refresh basically. So this is so you can see there's the home button there, and you can choose the different tiles. So it's just like a cell phone. So if you're accustomed to a cell phone, then you'll be able to use this, no problem. It does have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto if you prefer that. The navigation screen is functional and fairly decent. And it does have a decent search functionality as well, which you can only do it while you're parked. You can't do it while you're driving. But it does have a voice recognition. So if you want to use your voice, Wilmington, North Carolina. And it narrows it down. So we'll go ahead and select that, and then you hit go. So if you know the address,
at the end of the road, turn right and then turn right.
If you know the address and you or if you know the location, or you have some kind of information that you can say, it'll narrow down your search and make a selection, so you don't have to actually type on the keyboard. So that's good. Go back home. It does have a back button, so if you're in certain screens, you can back out of those. I like the way it has a digital clock. Sometimes the time is of the essence. You can have the clock up here. Now I like a digital clock like that. We'll have that for right now. But yeah, having that as your main focus, especially since it has the date as well, that's nice. And also the clock up here that stays up there is large enough. It's not like, you know, too small. A lot of vehicles have this big screen, but they have the clock like a little tiny thing on the screen, and there's all this extra space. You know, why not have things maximized and utilize the space that you have? But yeah, it's a fairly decent system. You know, it doesn't have like the most advanced or anything like that, but it's simple, easy to use. You got the volume knob, change to the tracks, you select your audio source, put in your navigation stuff, whatever you want to do. It does have the satellite radio as well, and it's, you know, very, very usable without being overly complex. And I think that's the point, really. Climate control down here, it does have a tri-zone, so driver, passenger, and the rear, which you can adjust separately, and you can sync those all as well. There's the fan speed, where you want the air to blow, recirculate the air, air conditioning. You can turn the system on or off, turn it on auto, and then you can have the front and rear defrosters here. When you turn on the rear defroster, the side mirror, heated side mirrors will also turn on. You have the heated seat controls here for the driver. It's a three-stage passenger heated seat. This little compartment right here is kind of useful. It's kind of shallow though. I always had a problem because my particular cell phone doesn't fit in there. You know, it'd be nice to just kind of slap your phone in there. But this vehicle has the wireless charger, and it actually charges with my case on it, so it works out perfect. And there's some space here on the right side. This is all rubberized. There's a USB-A, USB-C charge ports. This is to actually charge the cell phone. This is to connect with the system. Now, when you connect it with the system, it's going to pop up and try to get you to use Android Auto, that kind of stuff. So I try not to use it because I don't like using Android Auto. There's a 12-volt power supply, 180 watt max. And there's the cup holders. And this generation, since the refresh, has little articulating arms here to accommodate for different size bottles and cups. The previous one did not. So when I put my bottle in there, it was rattling around, and this one isn't that tight, but you know, if you have a coffee cup or something, it's nice to have that that snug feel. Here's the shifter, and once you get, I know a lot of people don't really, their first knee-jerk reaction is to not like this shifter, but if you give it a chance, it's actually pretty good because you don't have a stick sticking up to move and to get in your way, right? So that just eliminates that whole problem of reaching around and having something in your way. And it's electronic anyway, right? So it's as simple as pressing a button. Now you're in drive. You press it again. Now you're in a sport mode. There's neutral. Pull back here for reverse. We put it in reverse, the backup camera pops up. We have different views. There's the wide view, which is excellent. I like that. Once you get used to this view, you'll love it because you can see both ways behind you. And it's a little distorted looking, but once you get used to this view, it's fantastic. This is a more linear view, but you're not looking both ways behind you. And this is a top-down. This is mostly used for backing up to a trailer. There's also the road cross traffic alert system, which you can turn on or off here as well. So yeah, the camera system is not the best in the world, but once you get used to the way they designed it and the purpose of it, it's actually pretty good. All right, and then once again, just press the button to go back into park. So just pressing buttons, it's very simple. You know, it's not complicated. Once you get used to it, it's a no-brainer. So this button right here is to change through the drive modes. So you got sand, normal, snow, mud, and sand. So it's just telling the vehicle what kind of terrain you're in so it can know how to behave, basically. The normal is fine. I didn't go any like significant off-roading or anything. I did drive on dirt roads and stuff like that, but you know, the normal all-wheel drive system and drive mode is fine for my needs. The automatic stop start or the idle stop system, you can turn it off here, and that's what I did every time I start the vehicle. If I remembered, just go ahead and turn it off because it gets annoying after a while. Turning the engine off and every time you come to a complete stop. So yeah, this whole area is new in this refresh here. Here is the armrest, nice and soft. It's big enough that you can potentially share it with the passenger side. You can see right here, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but it seems like it's glued in place, so it looks like it left the factory like that. So there's the stitching here, it looks good. This is a little catch. It doesn't rattle. Press the button, it springs up a little bit. Doesn't slap back down on you. It's kind of spring-loaded. And then you lift it up, it goes right there. And then you have this compartment here. It's pretty good size. It has a rubber mat at the bottom. I got my business cards in there. A little place to put some coins or a pen or something like that. And this is rubberized as well, so if you put a pin there, it's not sliding around. So yeah, this is a good compartment. It doesn't have any kind of connectivity in there, so there's no obvious place for wires to go in and out of this compartment. So it has a auto dimming rear view mirror. There's also the HomeLink garage door opener controls here on the bottom as well. If you need to turn off the auto dim part, you can push that button to turn it off. So you have these tap lights up here, that one, and then those are separate. These are just kind of quick reading light. They shine in your lap so you can have a look at something at nighttime. But there's a separate button here that turns on all the interior lights, and that's a separate button. So you can see this is a light that's separate from that light. You can have them turn on manually there, turn them all off, or have them turn on with the door here in the center position here. These are for the sunroof and the rear glass. We'll get to that in a second. There is a place to put your sunglasses here, but you notice it doesn't have the mirror. It has like a spot to put the mirror. It's a conversation mirror, but for some reason they just didn't include it. I think it's basically a thing only in the Pilot, but they just left it out on this one. It'd be nice to be able to use that to see passengers in the back sometimes. And then the visor has a mirror with some lights. This is a black cloth, just like the headliner. It does extend out on a metal rod, like so. But yeah, no clips or anything like that. Okay, so this sunroof, it has a shade that covers 100% of the light. You can open it up, and then this left one is the switch for tilting it, closing it, or opening it. Press it again, as far back as it goes. And the switch to the right opens up the back glass. And while we're looking back here, you can see the visibility is actually pretty decent. The pillars are reasonable size, so looking over your shoulder, seeing behind the vehicle is actually no big deal. And you can actually take those headrests out if you need to. If you don't have any passengers back there, you can have a little bit better visibility. Now it does have the parking sensors, blind spot detection system, rear cross traffic alert, camera, and all that stuff as well. But yeah, overall visibility, not really an issue.